Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr President. My question, without notice, is to the Deputy Leader of the Government, Minister for Primary Industries, Minister for Regional Water and Minister for Trade and Industry. Minister, given that last week the New South Wales Land and Environment Court declared, and I quote, that on and from 24 August 2017 the Land Management Native Vegetation Code 2017 has been invalid and of no effect, unquote, how was it that you caused the Land Management Native Vegetation Code 2017 to be gazetted without the concurrent sign-off of the current Environment Minister?
One word, cocker. Sorry, 2 words.
I wouldn't say cocker.
Mr President, I thank the Leader of the Opposition for his question. It gives me an example or an opportunity to talk about the making and the remaking of the code that he refers to.
Tell us all about it.
Mr. Upton's paying attention.
Minister has the call. I'll just call them to order if they keep interjecting.
Thank you,
Minister has the
Mr
call.
President. Mr President, a procedural error was identified in the making of the previous code, and we acted quickly to amend that.
I call the Honourable Penny Sharp to order for the first time. I thought I gave ample warning. Minister has the call.
As Minister seeking concurrence from the Minister for the Environment, I did everything that was required, both making the code in August 2017 and again making the identical code last week. The Court declared the code made in August 2017 invalid based on a procedural error, not based on the content of the code. We've moved quickly to remake the code to provide certainty for landholders, allowing the reforms to be implemented as planned. Mr President, those landholders who've acted according to their certifications have acted in good faith under the terms of a code that was valid at the time, a code that has been remade identically to the one in August. OEH has rightly acted to give affected landholders certainty. OEH will continue to oversee compliance of the 2018 code as part of our biodiversity reforms, Mr President. So, Mr President, it's not the code itself that was the issue. It was a procedural error, Mr President, that has been rectified after the court ruled that to be invalid last week. We've acted to make sure that the identical code has been reinstated, and that should give confidence to our farmers to continue liaising with LLS and seek the appropriate approvals.
Yes, before I give the Leader of the Opposition the call, can I remind all honourable members that when the Leader of the Opposition asks a question, the Leader of the Opposition is entitled to hear the answer from the Minister in silence. The Leader of the Opposition or supplementary.
Thank you, Mr President. Would the Minister elucidate on that part of his answer that referred to a procedural error and tell the House what was that procedural error and who made it?
Very good there. Mr President, I thank the honourable member for his elucidation. The procedural error was in relation to the timing in which the Minister for the Environment signed the concurrence, Mr President. That is a matter for the Minister for the Environment. Myself, my office and my agencies carried out the necessary actions that were needed to ensure that the code was made, and if the member has any questions in relation to the Minister for the Environment's actions, I would recommend him referring those questions to the Minister that represents the Environment Minister in this House. If he wants to talk any further about my actions or my office or my agencies, I'm happy to take every question that the opposition want to throw that to us and have that conversation, Mr President, because this reform Mr. President, is something that we have not shied away from, Mr. President. We not only took it to the elections, we brought the legislation to this House. Everyone knows what they're getting with this side. Everyone knows what we wanted to be implemented. Every single person knew what we were doing. We brought the legislation to this House, and we know that those opposite want to tear that up, Mr. President. We know that they want to tear it up, and Mr. President, that's why we've acted quickly to remake the same code identically, immediately, to come into effect on the, immediately after what we saw happen in the Land and Environment Court, Mr. President.
Mr. President.